Welcome to Lunar Fracture Session 1. In today's session, we're going to look at our character and understand how animations will be applied to it. We're going to create some tiles for the character to run around on. And we're going to fix our camera so that it gives us the top-down view that we want for our game. First thing you want to do is take a look at the project. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the interface, but I want to just touch on how to get this set up if this is not what you have. If you have the default layout in Unity, then this may be what you're looking at. I prefer a different layout because I want to see the scene view, which is the view that you're working in, and the game view, which is what the game camera is seeing and rendering, and I want to see them at the same time. So I use the layout that's called 2x3. And then I expand so that gives me the scene view tab here, scene view, and then my game view. Then it gives me my hierarchy. The hierarchy lists everything that's in the scene, and the only thing that's in the scene right now are the main camera, the soldier, and a directional light. The directional light is just the sun. Just think about it as sunlight. And then I have the project tab that shows me all the assets that I have in the project. I drag the project tab down under the hierarchy and shrink these icons just to give me more space so I can more clearly see what's in project and what's in hierarchy. I just think that's easier to read. So it's really 2 by 1, but instead of 2 by 3. Doesn't matter. And when I open Unity, it will default to the layout I had set the last time I had it open. So this is what it always defaults to. So I've got my scene. This again is the window that I'm going to be working in to add models and move things around to change how things are oriented in the game. The game that shows me what the current game camera is seeing. The hierarchy shows me everything that's in this scene. And remember that a scene in Unity is basically a game level. The project shows me all the assets that I have in my project. And the inspector shows me the details of whatever I have currently inspected. Currently, I have the directional light selected in my hierarchy, so it's showing me where my directional light is and the properties of that light. It's a directional light. It's sort of a yellowish color, like the sun. By default, Unity includes this, and we're going to play around with it, but we'll get to that when we talk about lighting later. I also have a soldier here called My Soldier 10. The reason it's called My Soldier 10 is because I worked on this for a while, putting them together, and went through 9 other iterations. My Soldier 10 is going to be the main player character, so we're going to rename it from My Soldier 10 to Player. I put an underscore at the beginning of Player so that it sorts to the top of my hierarchy in every map that it's in, except for that it currently isn't at the top of my hierarchy, because I'm not sorting in order of alphabetical. I'm sorting in order of the order things were added to the scene. What I can do is I can change this from transform child order to alphabetical sorting. If you don't have this option, if you don't see this little widget up here, yes, it's enable preferences, and then make sure that you have enable alphanumeric sorting checked. I like alphanumeric sorting because it makes it easier to find things, but sometimes you want to turn it off because you do want to see which order things are in the scene. Anyway, I'm mostly going to leave it on so my player floats to the top. So I can see my player. You see right now he's only got two components attached to him. He's got the transform that every game object has. That just shows where he is in space, inside the scene. And we have his animator. What he doesn't have is an animator controller, so even though he has an avatar, which will tell the model how to move, he doesn't have a controller that will tell it which animations to play and when. So we're going to fix that by creating an animator controller for him and giving him some default animation. So I'm going to right click on assets, do create and folder. And we're going to create a folder called animator controllers. And we'll double click on that and right click and do create animator controller. And I don't want it to be called new animator controller. I'm going to call it AC player. So this is the animator controller for my player. Right now, if I double click on the animator controller, you'll see it will open up the animator tab, which will show me the state machine that controls the animation of the player. And right now it doesn't have anything. It's got a couple of nodes, entry and any state and entry, but then there's an exit, but there's no animations in here to play. So I need to add an animation so that it will actually do something. So I can do that by coming to my assets, and if I open up my soldier, you'll see that he has a bunch of animations in here. One of them is called Chicken Dance, and that sounds interesting, so I'm going to start with that one. If I click on Chicken Dance, you'll see that it's got a model tab and a rig tab and an animation and materials. And that's because this Chicken Dance is actually an .fbx file. .fbx is short for film box. It's just a three-dimensional file format that contains animation information. This FBX file was generated from a website called Mixamo, which I'm going to show you in just a second. When it generated the FBX file for me, it baked in some animations, including the one that it calls Mixamo.com. But the problem is, if you open these up, it calls all of them Mixamo.com, which is not particularly helpful. As we go through, we're going to rename these so that they represent what they actually are. So I'm going to click on the FBX file in my assets folder under my Soldier 10, which is the name of this folder. And I'm going to click on Chicken Dance and click on the animation tab. Then I'm going to click on Mixamo.com, which is the name of the animation. And I'm just going to highlight right here, and I'm going to rename it to Chicken Dance. And I'm going to click Apply. Okay. So then you'll see over here that my animation was renamed from Mixamo.com. The animation clip here was actually renamed to Chicken Dance. But right now, the Chicken Dance does not loop. You'll see the loop time is not checked. And I do want it to loop, so I'm going to come back to Chicken Dance. This is the actual FBX file. And I'm going to click on my Chicken Dance animation. And I'm going to come down here and click Loop Time and Loop Pose. That way it will play the animation over and over and over. Click Apply. And I'm going to drag this animation clip into my animator controller. So now whenever the game starts up, this animation will play by default. The reason this is highlighted yellow is because it's the default animation. If I added another animation in here like firing rifle, which is going to be called Mixamo.com, which we'll rename as we go blah, 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 you'll see that it's gray because the yellow one is the one that's by default. I have to put some trigger or some action to go between animations. And right now I just want it to play the default Chicken Dance animation. So I'm going to click delete. So that's all I have in here. And then I can come back to my scene. I can click on my player. And I can click this radio button to open up. And it will show you all of the animator controllers that you have in your project. Or I can just open up my animator controller folder and see it here, and I can just drag it in. Either one works. So I've assigned the animator controller to my player. I've assigned an animation to the animator controller. And now when I press play, my character should dance around like an idiot. So I'm going to move this. I've zoomed in using the mouse wheel, and I'm going to hold down the Alt button to rotate in space so I can bring my character around so I can see him pretty well. And I'm going to press play. And he does the chicken dance, which is very silly. The reason he's doing the chicken dance is because I wanted to show you how we're going to get animations for this project. Some animations we're going to create ourselves in Blender. But for our player, we're going to rely on an external tool called Mixamo.com. It's a website that will generate animations for you for free. And the animations are very high quality and very good detail, and I see no reason to try and create a walk animation when someone has motion captured someone walking, and we can use that instead. So let's explore how Mixamo.com works. If you go to Mixamo.com, you'll be prompted to log in or create an account, and it's free. So I did that. And then I uploaded my character. And I just dragged the character from the model that I created, the .fbx file that I created in Blender, and rigged and everything. And I brought that into Mixamo.com. And now that it's here, it is not skinned, meaning it doesn't have any texture applied to it, but it is fully, completely rigged. And if you want to see that, you can click on any of the animations and it will just start doing the animations. So let's find something that looks interesting here. We've got Rumba dancing. If I click on that, then he'll just start Rumba dancing. And it will show you exactly how the game will play the animation. So you can look around, and you can zoom around in here by holding down the left mouse button and dragging, so you can see it from different angles to make sure that the rumba is the rumba that you want. If you right click, you can zoom in and out to look at various levels of detail. Again, this model is not particularly high poly. In fact, it's deliberately a very low polygon model. So if I see that everything's moving correctly and there's not any weird vertices of the model jumping out at me in strange ways, then I can say that's pretty good. So we can look at some other things. So if you want to have him playing with a soccer ball with his head, you can do that. Fantastic. And there's all kinds of stuff in here. So let's look at some of the things that are interesting. So if I do flip. So I can create an animation where my character runs up against a wall and flips over. I can have him just do a standing backflip. He can do a front flip. Anything you can think of. If he's running out of the screen and you want to stay focused on him, you can click on this button down here that's toggle follow camera, and now the camera will stay with him the whole time. That can be disorienting in a different way. So anyway, so if I want any of these animations, I can click download, and it will download the animation with my character baked into it, and it will download it. I can download it, and then I can import it into the game. I don't need to do any work to make it work. So what I did was I went and got the basic rifle pack. They have packs that have lots of animations. There's a pro rifle pack that has 49 animations. So that's fine. And if you download this, it will download a zip file that contains lots of animations, and then you can download them and import them into your game. Pretty great service. And originally this was a plug-in for Unity, or was attempting to be a plug-in for Unity, an asset that you could purchase. And then Adobe purchased it and decided to make it free as they work on refining it and try to get more people to use it. One of the downsides of it is that it's a generic animation, so you cannot apply this animation to any other model without having to tweak some stuff. But that's fine, because we don't need to apply any other our humanoid animations to any other models right now. In fact, our enemies are all going to be robots that are going to have their own animations, so this is fine. And the animations are, like I said, they're of pretty good quality. If you look at rifle shoot, let's go shoot rifle, firing rifle. There we go. And shooter pack may be the one I downloaded instead. But if you look at this animation, whoop, you'll see that he actually squeezes the trigger, which, given how far away we're going to be from our model, it won't matter. But also, in a different thing to look at, you can see that he's oriented straight forward. His foot's pointing in the direction that the gun is firing. He's looking directly down the barrel. So we're going to need to make a weapon that fits all of that, but we're going to cheat a little bit with that too. Anyway. Okay, so that's where I got my animations, and that's where the animations come from that are in the game currently. They're free. Take advantage of Mixamo. You can add in any animations you want into this game, and they're all they've got a huge library of things that are available. If you go to the search, you can see there's combat, adventure, sport, dance, fantasy, superhero. There's a skinning test that allows you to see if there's anything weird going on with your model. So that's all we need to do with that. We've got our animations. We're all set. I can leave that window for now. He does the chicken dance, which is not really what we want him to do. What we really want him to do is to stand there with a rifle, and then to move around in the world when we click on the tiles to have him move around. But one, we don't have any tiles yet, and two, the animator controller will need to be updated for that to happen. So the first thing I want to do is come in here, grab rifle. There should be an idle. There's not an idle? Yeah, rifle aiming idle. I just didn't see it. Okay, so we're going to rifle aiming idle, and we're going to click on mixamo.com, which again is not, that's just the name of the animation. We want to rename this to rifle aiming idle. This is going to be the default stance of our character. Idle is not spelled that way. Okay. I'm going to click loop time, loop pose, and click apply. Because if I don't do it, he'll do the animation one time and then he'll freeze in place. I'm going to open up my animator, and I only have one animator controller. It remembers that this is the last one I was working on, so it leaves this open for me. I'm going to drag rifle aiming idle into the state machine. And I'm just going to delete chicken dance because we don't actually need it for our game. We may include it as a Easter egg or something. So let's take a look at the options we have here. We can change the speed of the animation. We can change whether or not we're applying foot inverse kinematics. We're going to keep our game very simple and always operate at the same in the same flat level. So there is no angled level for our character to put his feet on yet. We will eventually add some stuff that's more interesting than that, but right now we don't need foot inverse kinematics. It doesn't matter if we mirror that. It would change if he's shooting left-handed or right-handed. So if we can go back to the scene and click play, and he's dead. That's not great. So let me go back to rifle aiming idle. Why is that doing that? Okay, so what happens is when you get these animations, let's look at hit reaction as an example. And if you go to the rig tab, you'll see that it says generic, and avatar definition says create from this model. That is not what we want it to say. We want it to say copy from other avatar, and then we want the source to be, click this radio button, my soldier 10 avatar. If you do that, let me go to my animator. I've done some experimenting here to figure out what the problem was. Delete all of this. I'm going to grab my rifle aiming idle animation, drag it into the scene, and click play. And now he's aiming his rifle as we intended. That's to recap what we have to do there. For each of these animations, we're going to have to go and change the avatar definition from create from this model to copy from other avatar, and then we need to specify it's my soldier 10 avatar. And then we also need to rename them. So there's going to be a bunch of work to do to get the animations up to snuff, but right now we just have we want the idle animation where he's aiming down the barrel of his gun. We're going to click apply, and that's fine. We can also come here and grab rifle idle where he's not aiming. Let's grab this one, click download. We're going to download this as an FBX with skin, 30 frames per second, no keyframe reduction. And we're going to click download. My game. And Lunar Fracture 01 assets, my soldier 10, which is where I'm storing these, and I'm placing this FBX file here. When I click back to Unity, it's going to think about it for a second, and then you'll see that it's got rifle idle 4. I can remove that 4. That's because I've downloaded it 4 times figuring this out. And then I want to change this from create from this model to copy from other avatar. Change this from none to my soldier 10 avatar. I'm going to click on apply, go to animation. I'll click on mixamo.com and apply that. And then let's rename this to rifle idle _ idle. Click on my animator, get rid of, click apply. Get rid of that one, pull rifle idle in here. You can just drag it into the animator. Go back to my scene and press play. And now he should be just standing there with his rifle, not bothering nobody, minding his own business. Pretty great. Now he doesn't have a rifle yet, which we're going to deal with in a bit. But we're able to see an example of how to get an animation from Mixamo and bring it into our project. And we're going to do that a lot as we find we need different animations, like if we want him to interact with something. I'm going to turn on my gizmos. I'm going to get rid of show grid because I think it's disorienting. Right now he, again, is just out in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. In our next video, we're going to create some tiles for him to stand on.